Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest on the line. The brother's back.
That's right.
Michael Eric Dyson. Welcome back, brother.
Hey, man, it's great to be here. I'm thinking of the greatest hits. I want to start off like, put some respect on my name. All three of y'all, put some respect on my name. Or here's another. Drake! Drake!
Michael Eric Dyson, the one and only, is here. He's put out his 17th millionth book. A long time coming, a reckoning with race in America.
Yes, sir. I don't want to, be self-promoting. Yeah, I don't know where I can find a copy of that book, but oh, there it is. Yes.
It's a great read. It's tough read, very tough read.
Why is it a tough read?
It's a tough read because like the first chapter is Black Death, and that's very hard to get through. But literally, the whole book's theme is essentially about Black Death, and like one of my first questions was it as difficult to write as it was for me to read?
Yes, but not as difficult as the people who died.
That's right.
And the thing is, look, I'm from an older generation. I know people can't tell, but I'm older. I'm 62 years old. We didn't have safe spaces.
Well, give that a round of applause, brother, because you don't look 62, brother.
Yeah, nothing about you look 62.
Man,
I don't know what 62 look like, but you don't look it.
You don't look 62.
I love y'all so much, man. I'm coming to work for y'all for half the price. So we didn't have safe spaces. We didn't have self-care, things that are necessary and critical and vital. But I know people say, give trigger warnings. I'm in class, my younger students, when I'm about to watch the Kendrick Lamar video about, we gonna be all right. Should you give a warning? I'm not even used to that. I don't even think that way. I know I'm sensitive to and empathetic with those who do, but I figured the people who died had no choice.
That's right.
Emmett Till had no choice. George Floyd had no choice. Breanna Taylor had no choice. The least we could do is to wrestle with and grapple with, in an existential, personal, political, philosophical sense, the death that they endured. And yes, is it tough? Absolutely. Am I trying to re-traumatize Black people? No. But I'm saying at the same time, if they could sacrifice limb, corpuscle, blood, and body, then we can at least attempt to get inside their skin for a moment, to see what they felt, to know what the consequence of their death is, and for us to grapple with that as the basis for trying to talk about racial reckoning in America. So yeah, it was tough. Look, starting in the prelude with Elijah McClain, a 23-year-old young Black man who some argued is on the spectrum, a sweet soul, as sweet as one could ever imagine. And here he is, wearing a ski mask before COVID because he had, he was anemic.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And as a result of that, he wanted to stay warm. And the police roll up on him. And he says, please respect the boundaries I am speaking. And not only do they ignore him, they besiege him, they take hold of him, they put him in a chokehold, render him unconscious twice. The EMT arrives, they put ketamine in him, and then a week later, he's dead. I mean, this is the massive disregard for Black life. This is the vicious, callous indifference to who we are. So I think the least we can do, yes, take a note. Yes, have a trigger warning. Yes, we have to deal with this. But I think we've got to honor their deaths in many ways. And one of them, it is at least understanding the horror and tragedy of what they confronted. Now, maybe that's a result of me being a Baptist preacher. And every Sunday morning, a Negro preacher standing up somewhere, he died until death died. So we talking about Jesus every Sunday, and he had blood running from his body, right? And we telling the story, and we're deconstructing and demythologizing the kind of illusion and romance that surround his perishing. So in that sense, I wanted to put that on paper as poignantly, as vividly, and in some instances, as graphically as I could, so that we can get inside of the trauma that Black people confront, and those outside of it, so they can understand what we're up against.
But we're getting to a point now where it's like it doesn't stop. 2 days ago, the young man, Casey Goodson, died. We just had his mom on air.
Yeah.
And it's like, when does it stop? Like, when your daughter when your daughter gets in trouble or your son gets in trouble, you pop their hand. And if that doesn't work, where do we go from there? Because it's not stopping. It's not like they say, you know what, we see all the brothers that's been dying. We see all the things that's happening. We're going to take things differently. But they're not. They keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again.
It's a great point. And when you parallel what you just said with the video that came out at the same time of a white guy getting stopped by the police. I don't know if y'all have seen this. He's stopped by the police. He has a gun in the seat next to him. The police withdraw their revolvers and pistols from their holsters and point at the young man. He's arguing with them. I have a Second Amendment right. I have a right to have a gun. What you're doing is wrong. You can't have me step out of the car. He's arguing vigorously, aggressively back and forth with them. And he defends having the gun. They tell him to get out several times. He refuses to do so. He says he will not. And as a result of that, they go back and forth 3 minutes. And at the end of it, he says, I'm driving off right now. Guns drawn. He refuses to get out of his car and pulls off. This is the astonishing parallel to Black people like Jacob Blake walking around your car. And when you open the door and they see a knife, they commence to shooting. Not because you've withdrawn that knife from your car and tried to hurt them, not because you've threatened them. And by the way, the white guy threatened them twice to shoot them. He threatened them to their face. So that parallel is astonishing. No, it will never stop unless we do something about it. Maybe we could defund the police, my Lord. Maybe we could have a radical reimagining of the police. Now, look, I know we're going to get into the Obama quote. Let me introduce it myself. I'm hosting myself today. Might as well do it, right? Yeah. I'm Charlamagne, the light skin. So the thing is that, look, on the one hand, for those who have been hurt and in pain, and for the question you just asked me when it's going to stop, imagine that behind the attempt to reimagine policing. All right? So reimagining policing means the police don't have a run or a copyright on public safety. Public safety is an obligation. Policing is one department that does it. We can remove that department or decenter it. If we decenter policing, that means other departments take care of responsibilities for public safety. Do you know 90% of what police do ain't about stopping people and shooting people and doing that kind of stuff, or engaged in, warfare with human beings who are citizens on the streets? They're getting cats from trees and doing innocuous stuff. The problem is, even when they do innocuous stuff with Black folk, oh, Walter Scott, let me stop you in South Carolina because your left turn signal doesn't work. And then a little while later, he's being shot 7 times in the back by a policeman, right? That's Officer Slager, I think. So Sandra Bland, just a traffic stop. The cop treats her with wanton disrespect. And 2 days later, she is found hanging in her jail cell. So even the innocuous, the everyday, the non-offensive stuff that other people can take for granted. Oh, thanks, officer. Thanks for stopping me. And thanks for giving me a warning. Ends up with death with Black people. So this is the desperation behind reimagining policing, reimagining what police people can do. So if we decenter them because these police unions are powerful out of all proportion to their numbers in the population. Right there in New York City, they are racially charged. They are racially insensitive. They don't want anybody reforming them. We have tried reform for how many years?
That's right.
How many decades have we tried to reform the police? Let's make sure that community policing works. Let's put police people in the community that they're policing. So if you're coming in from Delaware and you go into Baltimore and you deal with a guy named Freddie Gray, you don't think of him, hey, that's my uncle, that's my cousin, that's my brother, that's my father, that's a kinfolk. And therefore, when he gets loud or he gets vituperative or he gets offensive or he gets pugnacious, I can deal with it because that's the kind of cat I already know. I know how to deal with him. That's my home people. So we tried that. That didn't work. We still get killed. We still get shot. Hands up, we get shot. Hands down, we get shot. Yes, sir, we get shot. No, sir, we get shot. George Floyd lying on the ground with ultimate respect. Officer, please, officer. He doesn't say, hey, dude. He doesn't say, get your MF. He doesn't curse. He treats with ultimate respect the person who is immediately responsible for his death.
Just like Elijah did.
Same thing. Elijah said, hey, you're good people. You are very good people. I understand why you're doing what you do, but please stop. I wouldn't even hurt a fly. I don't even eat meat. Look at the respectability politics that have to be deployed to try to convince white people that I am a human being worthy of respect. We have tried everything. So what I would say respectfully to our former president, lovingly to him, sir, don't be more upset with people who use a term that you think puts them in jeopardy of not getting the goal they seek, then you are outraged at the hurt and pain that caused them to search for a word to begin with. Now, having said that, Obama is looking at it from the perspective of those in power and those who are politicians.
That's right.
Please understand that. Pharaoh has a different agenda than the people of Israel.
That's right.
Right? Now, and I'm not dissing Obama. I'm saying Pharaoh in terms of a job description. He runs the joint. He is the president of the United States of America. He is in political power. He is different than those who are on the ground asking for, requiring, and demanding, Pharaoh, let my people go. The problem is for us is that Pharaoh is one of us. That's beautiful for many of us. We wanted Pharaoh to be us. I voted twice for Obama to, quote, be Pharaoh. But the problem is when we don't take into account, he is seeing it from their perspective. And I don't mind that. His point is, let me give you some advice here. If you're trying to get over, this ain't the way to do it for those who are in power. But those on the street are saying, we've done it your way already. And let's be real. If Colin Kaepernick had not called it a protest, but called it a vigorous disagreement with the status quo, would it have made any difference? Is it really what the name is? Is it really the name you use? Is it really the description you give? Or is it the fact that you are Black and challenging the status quo? If Black people had not called it defunding the police, would it be more acceptable? Perhaps. Look, I'm a leftist. I'm a progressive. I believe in being introspective and self-critical. So I don't want to automatically be mad at Barack Obama for saying, do you want the commercial or do you want the product? The commercial says, hey, I'm down with it. I'm defunding the police. The product is we actually get to dismantle the harmful structures and the systemic inequities that prevail. I stand in solidarity with those who want to defund the police. If you can charge them for being unfelicitous or infelicitous by using a word that is problematic, their lives are problematic to the dominant status quo. Their lives are dominant. Their lives are problematic to white people who look at them and see them as a problem. Their lives are problematic to anybody in power who sees a threat to the police as dangerous to American society. Allow our lives being lost to be just as dangerous. So are you going to be outraged at the horrors that exist, or are you going to be outraged at the people who are outraged by the horrors that they confront? And I think it is progress in America, in Black America, when Barack Obama can be even gently criticized. Had he been in office?
I agree.
Right? In office, that wasn't going to happen. You hater. If you criticize Obama, you are persona non blacka. You are not the person, right? But now, a little bit, Charles Blow, New York Times, you have a curious post-presidency. You are scolding young Black people. And so I think it's legitimate and healthy. We can't be mad at white people for uncritically celebrating Donald Trump and then say we turn around and if we have any criticism at all of Barack Obama, we are somehow read out of the race. Now, at the end of the day, can we embrace both perspectives? Can we be progressive and say, look, I don't give a darn what you call it. I want the police to be challenged because they are murdering, killing, harming, hurting, tasing, batoning, and shooting Black people at will. What is wronger? Using the words defunding the police or the police who need to be defunded or those who need to be redirected? Of course, the police are worse. On the other hand, I think that the left has to be open and not thin-skinned. And we must say, hey, you know what? Even if this dude is not on our side, even if we think what he's doing is centrist, and deferential to the status quo, and we ain't trying to reform the police. We're trying to deconstruct them and take them apart because they have hurt and harmed us. Even if you want to do that, it's all right if you choose a different route that might be a bit more savvy, that might appeal to those who you can, if you will, recruit on your side to do your bidding with you and alongside you.
Both
of them can happen.
I've only seen one centrist establishment Democrat mainstream who is Senator Harris, soon to be MVP Harris. She's the only person I saw answer the defund the police question correctly, because she didn't even focus on the statement. She talked about the why. She talked about why that needed to happen. And then when Meghan McCain came back and goes, well, I agree with you, but do you believe in defunding the police? And then she flipped it back on her and said, define defunding the police.
Right.
That's what I wish Barack would have did. Like, just focus on the why. You know what the why is. You know why these kids are screaming that. But
see, that's the point. You say he knows why, but he hasn't said so. You give him the benefit of the clout.
All right. Benefit of the clout. Okay.
And the thing is, he ain't really said so. Now, when you look at his whole interview, he was far more nuanced. Mm-hmm. And he says, look, if you like I do want to make, but what he does want to do is not as progressive, is not as radical, and is not as demanding as those who want to dismantle it. Why? Because he was the president of the United States of America. He ain't trying to dismantle the police. So we shouldn't expect him to want to do that. But at the same time, we can't take your legitimate criticism as the bellwether, the benchmark, and the litmus test for what is authentic and what people should do. Because what Barack Obama has to be more concerned about is the hurt and pain. I wish he would have said, look, given that Black people are being mowed down, let me be Barack. Let me channel Barack Obama. Let me be his, not his anger translator, but his nomenclature translator.
All right, let me set you up. President Obama, what do you think of the slogan, defund the police?
Well, Charlamagne, the thing is that we're living in a vicious society where Black life is seen as not worth much. When we turn around every day, we see Black people going down. Hands up, they get shot. Hands down, they get shot. No matter what they do. And we're not going to stand idly by and take that. So the question is not, will we defund the police? We tend to defund schools. Nobody has a problem. We defund social services for poor people. Nobody has a problem. So why is it, I said to myself, Barack, why is it that they have a problem with defund the police? Because it's getting to the nerve center of American power. And so I would not dare, using my bully pulpit and the enormous leverage I had. I sold 900,000 books the first day. Take that, Mike Dyson. Here I am, as former president of the United States of America. I'm not going to use my leverage to hurt the people who, even if I disagree with the term they use, I agree with the hurt and pain being expressed. So inevitably, if I say something critical about the terms they use, I'm going to be recruited as being in opposition to them. And if you look at all the headlines, that's all they're going to say.
That's right.
Barack Obama criticizes. So I'm going to be wise and say to you, Charlamagne the God, DJ Envy, and Angela Yee, that I defer that question to a bigger one. What can we do to stop Black people from routinely dying so that the streets of America don't run red with the blood of Black people?
Now, President, people feel that you didn't do anything for Black people while you were in office. What do you say to that?
I got to go now, and I'll be right back.
Hey, Doc, I thought about this the other day. I feel like white politicians are scared of defund the police because when they defund programs, what they are actually doing is abolishing them. They're not just trying to cut budgets. They want to get rid of these programs altogether. Mm-hmm. So I think when they hear that, they're like, we're not getting rid of police, because that's what they do when they defund.
And look, and this is where I know the left will get upset, but we got to be self-critical. You got to learn how to play the game Because don't act like you ain't in it. Don't act like you're progressive and radical, and therefore you outside the parameters of realpolitik, that you got to get down to the nitty gritty and understand, how am I going to be successful in the job I have? Just because you're progressive, and you should be, just because you're radical, and you should be, just because you're revolutionary, and you should be, doesn't mean you don't have to think about packaging, messaging, how you articulate it. And to that degree, I completely understand how we who want to challenge the policing of America must take that into account. And what you two just brilliantly laid out, right? Because we know the fear of white people is black people gonna treat us like we treated them when they get in power. That's why they're trying to keep us out of power, because they figure they'll do to us, Jiminy Cricket, what we did to them. And that's not a good thing. But we ain't like that. Here's the kind of people we are. South Carolina, Emmanuel Church, 9 people get murdered.
That's right.
Before the bodies are cold.
That's right.
We forgive you.
That's right.
That's who we are. So when we say defund the police, we actually mean that. We mean take $150 billion, like they did in LA, move it to another part of the ledger. Why is it that when we call the police, and when we call for help for a person who's having a psychotic breakdown, we send Officer Billy? Officer Billy doesn't know anything about psychoneurosis. Officer Billy doesn't know about vertigo that's induced by extreme forms of schizophrenia. Officer Billy doesn't know about the neural pathways that are carved through the brain that has a psychochemical interaction with environment that leads a person to believe that they are under threat, but somebody with therapeutic knowledge does. And you can send them. They can calm the situation down. Now, if there needs to be something else and somebody else to protect that person so that they are not harmed, that's a different story. So why is it that we can't move money? That's what defunding means. Move money into other arenas where it deserves to be had and directed, so that policing in America, so that public safety in America will be something that is far more virtuous than vicious. And what we want what the police did with that white boy. Even when we wrong and got a gun by our side and talking cash money trash to the police or to the public servant of public safety, our lives are protected because we are seen as human beings. So I'm down with that.
Now we see Trump supporters, they're not backing down. Do you think we're on the verge of a civil war, something that's going to be discussed and nasty in the next couple of years?
No, they got to go. I mean, look, the Trump supporters themselves are quite remarkable in the sense that they've got a guy in office that they are shilling for who's raising already, $200 million, and they ain't reading the fine print. Only if you give above $5,000 will this money go toward trying to get me to get recounted, although the Supreme Court, even with Amy Coney Barrett, denied him in Pennsylvania, really basically killing his hopes. Will it get me to have a recount? Anything beneath $5,000 that you give goes to my coffers. He is literally exploiting white people as we speak. He is exploiting the masses of white people. Now, we know those with deep pockets, whatever. But those who don't have those deep pockets are being exploited. This is what Martin Luther King Jr. was trying to tell white folk when he was in jail in Birmingham. And they told him, this desegregation thing you doing is not right. It's wrong. And he's, they're going back and forth. And he said, yes, it is. No, yes, it is. They said, no, it ain't. Then he asked them how much money they make. And as I've told y'all before, and when they told him, he said, well, hell, y'all need to be out here marching with us. King understood that at its best, American democracy works when folk of all races and ethnicities and in a similar class come together to oppose the vicious demagogic practices of those who are imperial and neo-fascist rulers like we have in Trump. Trump is part of a toddlerocracy, the rule, reign, and tyranny of a mindset of a 2-year-old with power. Imagine your 2-year-old had the nuclear bomb at his discretion. Imagine a 2-year-old had the ability to fire people and hire people and to completely eviscerate the entrails of our administrative and governmental practices. This dude has ripped apart this country. And the complicity of Mitch McConnell with his cowardly, owlish, oafish self. And Lindsey Graham from your state, who has surrendered and subverted any sense of commitment to the noble ideals and aspirations of the founding fathers. And these are the folk who tell us all the time, you're not being good Americans, Colin Kaepernick. You're not being a good American, you protesters. You are thugs. The real thugs are part of the thugocracy. And the thugocracy is Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump and all of those who are complicit in the vicious repudiation of every ideal of democracy, justice, and fairness that we practice. Now, they are establishing a shadow government. And do I believe Donald Trump is going to go gently into that night? No, he's going to rage against the dying of the light. I'm dropping Dylan Thomas on you, not just rapping from the last 5 years. Dylan Thomas, the great Welsh poet. And he says, do not go gently into that night, but rage against the dying of the light. Donald Trump is raging against the dying of the light. And he will establish a shadow government. He's going to try to undercut Joe Biden every chance he gets. Every opportunity he has, he will try to challenge him. And 74 million people who voted for him are already in pocket with him. And in that sense, you're absolutely right, brother DJ Envy. There is a kind of implicit civil war going on, and it's just as destructive to the soul of this America as an earlier, bloodier contest was to the fate of the nation some 150 years ago. So we have to really grapple with and understand the viciousness of what's going on and what's at stake here, and always trying to dismiss Donald Trump. Donald Trump, you know, people, oh, he's dumb and he's stupid. Donald Trump is a genius at communication, right? That's right. Donald Trump understands what he's got to say, who he's got to say it to, how many times he's got to say it in order to get his message across. I think the left could learn something from that cat as well.
Yeah, I think their messaging sucks. I want to ask you a couple more questions before you get out of here. About the book in particular, A Long Time Coming, A Reckoning with Race in America. I feel like colors was a theme throughout this book. Black Death, Blue Plague, White Theft, Seeing Red, White Comfort, Evergreen, Hope. What's the science in the colors?
You are literally the first person who has asked me that question, and that was my intent from the get-go. I can't give you no war. I'm gonna give you an extra book. I'm gonna let you interview me again just because you said that. I mean, that's exactly what I was about. I'm about the color-coded misery that Black people deal with. Gold Orb is the Elijah McClain chapter because his co-worker said it was like a gold orb around him every time he came in. Wow. Black Death, Black people dying, right? Mm-hmm. Blue Plague, the police assaulting us.
White Theft, colonization.
That's right. White colonization, white comfort, and the colonizing of Black imaginations, the appropriation of Black futures. And Black Death is the ultimate form of appropriation of Black identity, the appropriation literally of the Black body. The Evergreen Hope of Reverend Clemente Pinckney, the white comfort that Sandra Bland disturbed. So yes, I wanted to probe the coloring of America, the color coding of America, the obsession with color, the obsession with race. And I wanted to turn it inside out and talk about how it's redounded negatively and played in such destructive fashion within Black America. And that was quite intentional. Thank you for picking that up, my friend.
Absolutely. Hey, that's a great note to end on. Then.
Yes, sir.
I want everybody to go get A Long Time Coming, A Reckoning with Race in America. Michael Eric Dyson does not waste words. That's why he don't write blogs. He writes books.
There you go.
But you know what? The brother said, I write books like write hooks. That's what I do.
That's right.
That's number 23. I'm trying to drop them like I'm free. I'm trying to be like DJNV, but really I'm trying to be Charlamagne the God. I got it in the cog of machinery. I do my thing. I see it. I believe it. I want you to conceive it and receive it. Buy that book. help me out with my kids. I got to put them through college. Okay,
right.
they're already out, but I need to do something to keep my cottage straight on. All right. Anyway.
right.
The whack rapper is back. Here I am. I even spit some whack raps to Jay-Z on his birthday, and he said, no, one of those was cold.
Michael,
You
Eric,
got
Dyson,
bars. I
ladies and
said
gentlemen.
bars like I'm an alcoholic. All right.
Thank you for joining us, brother.
Appreciate you, Doc.
And I want to shout out my people, Zawike.
Okay.
Right? They hooked me up. They said they're gonna hook you up too.
Okay.
They'll send y'all some.
What
good
is
product.
that? What does that mean?
You know what? That's a good question, man. God damn.
It don't matter. It's black owned. We supporting.
I know it's Nigerian. I know these cats are Nigerian, and it's about love and it's about support. I'm making something up. I don't speak Igbo, but I don't speak. Look, I'm gonna be like, I don't speak Nigerian. No,
We supporting.
But Zawike stands for something beautiful. These are black entrepreneurs, right? And I want y'all to go check them out. But I try to represent black folk like y'all represent black folk, like we do what we do.
Oh, it means to relax. Zawike.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
it means
you.
to
I
relax.
just wanted you to look it up because I didn't want to, be acting like I knew everything. No.
All good.
I'm
All
glad
good.
it don't mean get me free out of jail right now. Right. Relax. Chill out. Weekend. Right.
Doc,
brother,
until
have a good
next
one.
time, my brother. Thank you.
Thank y'all so very kindly.
Peace, King.